Welcome to The Impossible, where we empower others to face the impossible, inspire them to be impossible, and motivate them to do the impossible. I'm Matt, one of your co-hosts, and back this week with my brother Austin Douglas, and we're very excited to have him here because I was very sad that he wasn't able to be present for the Logan Reynolds conversation. I didn't know that at the time we were going to get to where we were philosophically speaking, but we are going to have another episode where he and I break it down and give you our thoughts because we've listened to it both now, and we want to take some time to revisit it because it was definitely a lot to bite off, definitely for us. And so we want to take it some time, break it down, and give you guys our full thoughts on it and where we've expanded beyond it as it pertains to our message here. But tonight, we're going to do a little fireside chat for you guys, touch on a topic that's really been hitting home for me recently, and also give an opportunity to hear an update from Austin because he's kind of in an ever-evolving situation right now. And we, as always, want to make sure we're fully transparent with all of that with you guys because this is the real world. This is how things happen. It's not just like cancer's here and it goes away and then you're fine and everything's amazing. It's a lifelong battle, no matter where you are in it. Even if you're like me and I'm 11 years out and fortunately have not had any issues with cancer since then, I'm still dealing with lots of health issues related to the treatment I received. So it is a lifelong battle. We want to make sure we're always highlighting that and being upfront and honest with you guys about it. And that's what we're doing.
Absolutely. Good to be back, everyone.
So how's things been going, man?
Things have been traveling for work, as previously discussed, missing the episode with Logan, which was extremely unfortunate because I really do. I share a fondness as well for those are kind of those are the deep rabbit holes that I enjoy taking are the kinds of explorations of why we are here, what caused us to be here, how did we get here, and to hear him on the podcast and doing so well, getting married, and also getting his master's as well. I mean, that's just all fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And you were there when we saw Dr. Peterson present, and you were there you were there when he got up and told him he was getting ready to go into school for philosophy. And man, now it's wild to me to think that he's already almost done with that degree.
Yeah. It's fantastic. It really, really is. And to see the progress of that, and it was a big miss, but I had to be other places, unfortunately.
It's all good. That's what we do. We divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer.
We talk about that all the time.
Precisely.
It's how we run things here. It's just what happens.
But yeah, it's also been another week of in that sort of limbo as I discussed before. So we're getting closer to the time where hopefully we can get some answers. So this week on Wednesday, I have my PET scan at Cleveland, and then Thursday I see my oncologist up there. So this is going to be a really, really, really decisive moment for this second attempt at remission. So those of you who have heard before, I did have a relapse as of September of last year and went through a few rounds of an immunotherapeutic treatment at Cleveland, and then I went down to United Methodist in Houston and received a CAR T-cell allogenic trial. And
just to highlight on that for a second,
yeah,
because this is worthy of some credence, I think. It was not just a clinical trial. This was gene therapy. This is brand new in the cancer space. It has not been around for very long. It is going to be the future of cancer therapy. And right now it's a toss-up between two different modalities as far as which one could take over, but this is the future of cancer therapy. Yeah. And you had a lot of people telling you they were hesitant to recommend this route for you because it's not necessarily a sure thing. Because it's so brand new, we don't necessarily know exactly how well it works in your type of cancer yet. But as we've talked about before, you were able to kind of step back and ask yourself, what's really my goals long term? What do I want out of life? This therapy being significantly less toxic fit into those a lot better for you in your space as you are right now. And so you were able to take a chance on the impossible that many would not have been allowed or been able to take, I think. And it's seemed to lead to some pretty fruitful results so far.
Yes.
But as you've mentioned, Thursday, if you guys haven't heard us talk about it, a PET scan, or a PET scan, as you'll hear it called, is the gold line diagnostic scan for cancer. I think pretty much anybody who ever has cancer gets at least one of those, if not many more. And it is what will tell us at this point how well is that gene therapy working.
Yes, because coming out of that, the PET scan immediately, or not immediately, it was a month after the actual infusion itself, had shown that I was clear. But of course, with it being, because and to note for that earlier for this CAR T cell therapy, I mean, yes, clinical trial they title it as, but in terms of numbers of patients, I was, double digits of who they had ever come through the trial itself for it. So when we get to the PET scan in February and they say, well, it's clear, they exercise much more hesitation than your typical end of treatment PET scan, with it not being, again, the run of the mill in terms of treatment for where I was and for what the oncologist previously had advised me upon taking and not going down this route. So, there was already a bit of one, it was treatment for a relapse. So therefore I have a little bit of hesitation myself. Secondly, it's coming out of a clinical trial that, again, 10s or 20 some people have been through before, and then me. So the data is just not there to really give you, it's not a very thick and warm blanket that it coddles you with. And then I have a possible lymph node that still has cancer inside of it. It was rock hard back in late March, early April, which is the reason why we scheduled this PET scan this coming week here a couple of months ago, but it was because I thought that I had relapsed again. And that was a brutal moment. But at the end of the day, if I do have a relapse again, what I've been able to do is put myself into the shoes of a soldier just ready to fight, a warrior ready for whatever comes next. And that whatever would ultimately be what the oncologist wanted to put me through before, which would be the stem cell transplant. And I knew going into this CAR T cell therapy that still could be the case. Come to find out at the end of the clinical trial, that's what they normally had the patients do, which they had saved that information until I was done, not at the beginning. But ultimately, I am ready for whatever comes. Yes, we hope that it's good news, and I very much that's what you plan for the worst, hope for the best. I've planned for both the worst and the best, but there's still some hope there. Yeah. Ultimately, for day-to-day life, I'm feeling good.
Good. It's honestly, so hearing you say that you're ready to attack this with a warrior mentality. Guys, this is live. You're hearing this. Austin's hearing this for the first time. I'm going to scrap everything we were planning on talking about tonight outside of this, because I got chills, dude. I got chills sitting here listening to you say that. And it has brought me back to some of the times where I was in that moment of, I just finished treatment. I just barely escaped with my life. is this going to come back? And we know one kid, especially right now, actually, we know two kids that have recently gone through similar scenarios. One kid, especially right now, is going through some pretty big, life-changing surgeries tomorrow. And so I actually think that this situation, this mentality, is worth exploring. Because even if a lot of our listeners don't have cancer, have never battled with, a lot of them do or have had it. But even if they haven't faced that before, everybody faces moments in their life where you're faced with circumstances that you do not want to be faced with more than anything else. And you still have to face them. You still have to navigate them. So how do you keep your head on? How do you move forward in the face of that? And how do you come out the other side stronger in spite of it? Even if it's not the outcome you wanted, you can't always control that, but you can control who you are in the process. That's why, again, we always focus so much more on the being impossible than the doing the impossible, because you can control the being impossible. And we like to exhibit most of our efforts over things we have more control over, because that's ultimately going to yield more positive results. So, exploring this situation, you're in a position right now, bringing it back to a little bit of the philosophy, physics, all of this stuff we've kind of dived into the last week. You're in kind of the, you guys remember from high school, the Schrodinger's cat phenomenon.
Is it there? Is it not there?
You're in a position where you could have cancer right now in your body, or you could not. And any of our listeners who's ever battled cancer or had a loved one battle cancer, you know what it's like to be in this position of you just finished brutal chemotherapy, or you're waiting for a scan to tell you if you're done or not, or you're waiting for a scan to tell you if you can even move on to the next treatment round or not. And you don't know what it's going to say. I've had real life cancer patients tell me that this situation right here is the hardest part of battling cancer, simply because of the mental game that ensues.
Yes.
Because it's hard to imagine much more of an anxious situation, an anxiety inducing situation, than waiting to see if you have cancer or not, because you're going to have drastically different life experiences based on the results of the scan.
Absolutely.
So how do you keep your head? How do you, first of all, we'll go a couple parts. First of all, how do you face that in the first place? How do you keep yourself sane and normal, and how do you keep yourself living normal life? Because you still have normal responsibilities you have to live through. How do you do that? And how do you find that level of meaning in that while still having this loom in the background? And how do you adapt to and overcome and, as you like to say, conquer that anxiety?
So, firstly, your eyes open and you wake up and you realize that it's the morning. That is one thing that I've come to be very appreciative of. I'm very appreciative of everything that I get to do, to be thankful, to be happy that I woke up. And that may sound cliche to a lot of people, and it somewhat is, but in these times I'm going to latch onto something that helps me. And what helps me is just being thankful that I got up. That's one thing that it was brought up in a discussion with our friend Paul and I in our ride back from Elite FTS, is that I've come to be extremely thankful that I get to wake up and do what I get to do. No matter what I'm I am or I am not in control of. So, as Ryan Holiday pointed out on this, was it a news channel or something? I think it was MSNBC or something like that. You have to give your kind of your one paragraph spark notes in terms of when you're on live TV. You don't get a whole lot of time. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I forget what he labeled it as, but you have to get, you have to take 3 paragraphs down to 3 sentences. And how he described it is, you take what you are not in control in and you set it off to the side, but it's still on the table. You have what you can control, and that's what's down in front of you, and then you take it piece by piece, analyze what is immediate, analyze what is near, and then analyze what is far. And that is what I've been able to work on. Is the first challenge is, of course, setting off to the side things that you cannot control. What I cannot control is that to a point that nobody is able to 100% guarantee me, is that cancer is or is not within my body. A very large step in this is telling yourself, okay, well, that is extremely unfortunate, a bit degrading in terms of how you can go about your day, but you take that information, you set it off to the side, and realize that at this point, that reality is something that you don't have full control on. Yes, there are immediate, near, and future things that you can control that can help, mitigate and prepare yourself in the best way possible, the most optimized possible, to be able to face to be able to face the reality that you don't have control over. But in terms of what's going on for me right now, in terms of my reality, I may or may not have cancer. So I set that off to the side. I see that you have to be aware of it. You can't throw it off to the table. You can't crumple up that piece of paper. I know it says confidential, warning, really crappy news. You're not going to like this, signed, reality. Don't crumple that up. Set it off to the side, but look at it. I see a little bit of, I see opportunity to embrace suffering by looking at, by knowing that the paper is there, occasionally looking at the paper. You can't busy yourself and punish yourself by staring only at the paper, because then you can't work on what's in front of you, what you can't control. But what you can't control, you still need to be aware of it. You still need to be willing to take a moment every single day. And I do this for 30 minutes a day. I write stuff down. I journal. And that has been a huge help, especially with having to work to work alone, to when I'm out working. I'm alone at work. I'm alone in the hotel room. I'm alone down in the weight room. I'm alone in when I'm walking on trails out in Utah, which I know it's a horrible place to be alone, but woe is me. But it's they're true suffering, everyone. So, but yes, I'm not alone in terms of my journey here, but it can be a lot, and that has been. Being alone in those situations has kind of been a bit more of a hill to get over, but ultimately, well, pun intended, sorry, not intended, but it's still funny. But ultimately, it's led to the force within myself to become even stronger. So you have what you can't control off to the right. It's still on the table. Keep it on the table. Take what you can control, and like I said, separate into those 3 moments: immediate, near, and far. And from there, you, as I levied to before, what you have to do next is then take, how can I prepare myself to deal with what I can't control? What I can't control is my diet, my headspace, my headspace to then allow yourself to manifest a mindset that then gives you executory power to go and to execute plans, whatever plans that you may create. Because certainly the first step is, again, immediate, near, far. Well, you have to put some stuff into there. You have to find out what you want to accomplish and what you need to accomplish. So then you go through that mindset. You go and you manufacture the mindset from having a good headspace. You have to have a good headspace up front. If you don't have a good headspace, then you're not going to be able to deal with any of these. So you have a really good mindset. You have a really positive mindset. You have to be willing, and you have to push to be positive in these moments, and that's crucial for execution. So you have dietary needs, you have physical activity needs as well. So I work out on the daily, whether it's body weight squats, weight room, and running. Running's it's toned down a little bit, of course, with some lingering issues, but that's 5 and 6 days a week now. So, and then also there's one thing that's immediate that a lot of influencers would have I don't know if they'd have a problem with. Some of them would, some of them would not. But for an hour a day, and this is at the end of the day when I'm exhausted, both physically and mentally, is I veg out. I veg hard for an hour. And that is because I will say one.
What do you mean, like, exactly when you say that? Just so everybody knows
precisely.
Exactly
So when I say
because you're not eating vegetables, certainly.
I am absolutely not.
That would not be okay.
Maybe some potatoes, but we'll call them carbs, not vegetables. So when I say veg out, so what has there is a certain genre of entertainment that has been crucial. I mean, violently crucial for my positivity coming through this is comedy. Comedy is just comedy and music, but I get music all day. I get music all day. I get to go to the symphony occasionally, and that's, checking boxes. But comedy is 9.5 times out of 10 is what I gravitate towards for that 1 hour that I have off. I call it my off time. I'm off work. I'm off duty. It is whatever I want to do, and it's almost always comedy on YouTube, or actually it's just now YouTube. I listen to or watch Jimmy Carr. Jimmy Carr. I've seen his specials on YouTube. Just nonstop, so many times. It's almost nauseating, but yeah, for that 1 hour, I will. I used to grab like an apple or a banana or sometimes the legendary Pop-Tarts. I would have one of those during that time as well. But with it being so late at night, and with my glucose still kind of riding high from treatment, I've shied away from that, especially after Houston. But yeah, for an hour I lounge, I embrace bad posture. I find a comfy seat. I turn on a TV that may be a little too close to my eyes, and for an hour I laugh. I want to laugh. Laughing, for those of you who know me, laughing is a favorite pastime of mine. So I embrace it and I love it. So yeah, and so having the general sense of a look into my daily life is, journaling is important, physical activity, keeping a positive headspace, but then also something that's beneficial for all of those to happen on the consistent basis is that 1 hour of just me time. And so that is what has been able to provide me not only a kind of a check marking, like, yeah, I'm good with life, but like I'm excited for the next day, because that was always something. That was something that I really struggled with when I was going through the chemotherapy regimen, especially up in Cleveland when I was upgraded. I did not look forward to the next day. I didn't. And that was the first time ever that I really was content with not waking up the next day. Sounds bad, but that's the truth.
There are some things worse than death.
Yeah, and that was...
You see that when you battle cancer.
It's a very alluring and seductive dance that you get to do with the devil, that you get to do with death. And that's a position that I found myself in. And once we got into the immunotherapeutic side of that trial with Cleveland, I didn't think about it, but I knew that chemo may have approached me in the future, that relapse was possible. But I decided in that moment, because as you know, I relapsed in multiple fashions, in multiple facets. And so coming out of that, I decided that's not going to happen again. And especially when it came to this as well, to this impossible performance coming together into fruition, but then as to what it's become and what it's going to be, there's absolutely no reason for me. It's zero reasons. And I am so happy and so thrilled to say that I'm so ecstatic for tomorrow. I'm happy with today, but I look forward to tomorrow. And it took a lot of time. This takes a lot of time. It's not something that I build over in a week. And that's what you want. Of course that's what you want. I begged for that. I was on my knees begging for oh, it's better. Oh, that relief. No. No, that's not how it happened. And I'm very thankful to have the individuals that I had close to me during these times, because your all's absolute thrashing of the moment and tackling such a bright and powerful future, having that all surrounding me, as I've previously discussed, as being such a powerful driving force for me to look forward to tomorrow. That's with all of that going on around me. I have no excuse now to not be thrilled for tomorrow, for what I get to do, for whom I get to impact, hopefully, for what we get to do with Impossible Performance, and for those who are around me, especially, because that's who I owe it to. And that's why, to wrap this up, that's why you need to give yourself the opportunity. It may not work 100%, but what we're offering here in terms of this, it's more of a stoic perspective, but it's a perspective that, if executed with intent, can help you in some fashion. This may not be the fix-all for you, and that's fine. But it may help you in some manner. Because I'm telling you now, there's going to be 6,000 solutions thrown at you, and I promise you, and Matt, you can probably attest to this, there are a lot of things that you try as a solution that does not work at all. And that's something I alluded to before of me being, relapsing in multiple facets. What you need to do is try doing something, and here I'm giving you from experience, from something I'm not only have I gone through, I'm going through, and I intend to go through, is a daily process of analyzing what I'm in control of, being aware of what I'm not in control of, using that as almost as a guide, almost as okay, this is the umbrella in which I walk under, but I'm gonna find that sunshine. Sun's gonna cut through, and oh, what a beautiful day.
Yeah. That sunshine, you can find that comfort, you can find that solace, because that sunshine is going to come through regardless of the outcome of Wednesday and Thursday. And we're going to break this down for you guys here in a moment, but I wanted to point out, when he says the sunshine is going to cut through, he doesn't mean that he's going to have the quote unquote good cancer-free news that he's hoping for sure. It's still an uncertainty. He's still living with daily struggles, daily anxiety. He says that because we've both fortunately been able to work to a point where we've gotten ourselves where we can say that regardless of the outcome. And I think that is what allows you to deal with the day-to-day anxiety, struggle, suffering of it all. So, dude, I loved every part of that you just broke down. I
Wonderful.
Really did. I got a lot out of it. We're going to break it down for you guys. But in that short, or not short, in that whole sorry,
love you,
in
man.
that whole unboxing of all of your emotions, the day-to-day you face, your strategy for overcoming it, everything was truly an example of you living our message in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Real time, how you face the impossible, be impossible, and how you do the impossible.
Yep.
And so I love that you're able to go in on no notice whatsoever, because we changed our topic live on camera here. But you went in live, broke that down for people, and gave them an exact, here's what it is, here's what it looks like. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to take a moment to highlight for everybody listening today, pay attention to that last part. He's ecstatic to wake up and feel the sunshine, because it's going to come through regardless of what the outcome of Wednesday or Thursday is. And the reason that happens is because Austin has created purpose for himself, something we've talked so much recently on the podcast. He's created purpose for himself, and his purpose is not dependent on whether or not he finds out if he has cancer on Thursday or Friday. Because he has the opportunity to and will live his purpose every single day of his life, whether or not he has cancer on Wednesday or Thursday. Now, certainly there is an outcome we hope for, and your purpose will, how you live that purpose every day will look different dependent on the outcomes, certainly.
Right.
And certainly there will be emotion and, pain or happiness or all sorts of aspects of humanity felt and experienced dependent on those results. But you've gotten yourself to a point where you have detached your purpose and your satisfaction and your meaning for life. You've detached that from the outcome. And if there's not a better definition for the meaning of life.
Yeah, I agree. Because that's how I like your descriptor there of detaching it from the outcome, because it's the outcome can be heavily influenced if you allow yourself to react in a fashion that, like, if you emotionally react to a situation that can come a bit natural, I can look at this and just fold up. Let's say Thursday comes and I have some real bad news. In my preparation, I'm aware that no matter the news that comes, I'm in control of my reaction to that news in that moment, in that hour after, that day, that coming weekend, the next month, and so on and so forth. My reaction is what I have control of, not of the news. So I detach the goals. I set them to the side because I know these are happening. I didn't stutter. Those are happening. Boom. Lovely. It's on my desk. My desk has a lot of things on it. Yay. And so they're there. On that day, I sit there and I go, okay, there's a reality that I'm going to have to face. Either...
Was that laugh he was talking about?
Yeah. No, it's just reality, my oncologist is terrible at hiding emotions. So I know the manner of which the news is of the news and its delivery will happen as soon as she opens the door, which, it's good and bad. So, because again, the Austin that started this, every time a doctor came in, it was obviously bad news. Oh, hey, more bad news. And so it's getting worse. Not the cancer, but the news. And here you go. Start treatment. You get used to that kind of cycle of, I see a doctor or I see a tech or whatever, and they're just like, hey, I'm gonna add to this pile. And the Austin back then would have taken, was not the control of which I have taken of my reaction to certain events that unfold in front of me. The technique, the discipline, and the executable or how can I say that? How I execute upon the control that I do have it was almost non-existent back then. I had been through some rough times previously of that, felt lost, absolutely lost. But then coming into that, it was just so heavy, man. That was so heavy. But where I'm at now is, again, I now have the ability to control, and not 100% as well. That's just not the case. You're going to forever strive to be perfect, but you're not going to be perfect. You can strive for it, and that is the beautiful thing of what we get to do every day, is to strive for what to strive for perfection, but you have to be willing to say, okay, well, if there are no errors to correct, then some purpose kind of weeds out. So what I see this as is I get to have the opportunity to be in control of how I react to the situation, and just to be content and be happy that I have control in some manner when this news comes in. And so that's the important part of those days in particular, like that moment. Again, not the day, but the moment. I can control how I react.
Yes.
What's detached are the goals. What's not detached is that ever revolving possibility of your emotions reacting to something somehow in some way, and can you kind of bring that back down to earth, take a deep breath, and go, well, I hear the door handle fidgeting. It's next 5 seconds are going to be great or horrible, but I'm probably going to get some sushi after this. So I love it.
And that is it right there. Everything you, especially that last line you just said right there. When his oncologist comes through the door on Thursday and she already knows that Schrodinger's cat thing we alluded to a little bit earlier.
She took a peek in the box.
Yeah. She knows what's there. She knows whether or not there's cancer in Austin's body or not. And as Austin alluded to, good or bad, based on her immediate reaction walking through the door, he will know immediately what she knows. But until he sees her, until he hears the news, he will not know. But he's already decided that his ultimate happiness, his ultimate purpose for life will not change based on that news. Now, certainly there will be a lot to process either way, good or bad potentially. There's going to be a lot to battle through potentially. And that is not, that is not a small thing. That is a huge thing if things would go towards the outcome that we're not hoping for. But You've already said that your purpose will not change based on that news. And so that is the key right there. Mm-hmm. That is ultimately the key. What we talked about at the beginning here. How do you face the anxiety? How do you face the fear? How do you face these situations? How do you face the impossible? It's that right there. It's creating your purpose for life. Letting that guide you, letting that drive you. So that when the doctor comes through the door there, your life isn't going to necessarily change completely to its core one way or another, because you've already decided what the purpose is for your life, and you've made a dedicated, asserted effort and a daily process toward that purpose. Mm-hmm. And that is the answer right there. That is how you do it.
Yeah. Now, we don't want to necessarily make this sound like it's an easy process by any means. No, it's not.
Because it's not like he just wakes up one day and says, "Oh, I'm going to be okay." Either way, I'll be okay. It'll be cool. Because nobody facing that situation says that.
And you shouldn't.
And you shouldn't. Yeah,
you shouldn't.
Anything we're doing is not easy.
You can wake up one day and say, "I'm going to be okay," but if you come to that realization, you have also come to the understanding that it's not going to just be okay today. You need to put yourself in the position to prepare yourself to be okay every day henceforth.
Yes. And I'm glad that I'm glad that you gave that distinction, because that is important. You can make a change in your life on any moment's notice, but that change is not made in the decision so much as it is in the daily process, the daily life, the daily actions, the being impossible that comes after that. Mm-hmm. So that's a powerful description, a powerful scenario, a powerful action that Austin just laid out for everybody here. But we're going to take a second, so hold on here, because we're going to take a second and unpack everything he just laid out, because it is very important. And we're going to explain. He gave us a step-by-step process of kind of how to do all of this. We're going to go back and unpack all of that. But I want you guys to know, I can't emphasize this enough. Find something in your life that fills you with joy. Find something in your life that you can strive toward, regardless of any external circumstance around you. And it can and will look different for everybody. But find that purpose. And even if you can't define it all from day one, you'll figure that out along the way. But just chase that. And it will take those moments of uncertainty, of fear, of anxiety. It will take those moments, and it won't make them easy, but it will give you peace. And that's how we do it. So let's go back and break down that process a little bit, because again, we said that's not an easy process to go through, but it is a necessary one, and it is a powerful one, that when you can get yourself to that point, when you can get yourself to the point that Austin is at now, where not that it's easy, not that he's excited to walk in those doors Thursday and get that news.
So many other things to do in Cleveland.
I mean, yeah, he's still human. Like, he's still battling through every emotion that comes along with it. But he can walk in with at least the comfort knowing, and not just at least, he can walk in with the comfort of knowing that he's already decided what his life is going to be. And even if he has cancer, it's not going to change that. Ultimately, it may change the path, but our path is constantly changing. We're used to that. We expect that. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, hard, brutal, whatever it may be, the ultimate purpose of his life will not change. And that's where we want to get to. But let's take a moment and go back, because there was so much that you put out there along the way of different strategies, different mindsets, different attitudes, different feelings, emotions.
Yeah. We can break down like what we're in control of.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to break down, because you gave a lot of stuff there that directly reflected a lot of the messages that we put out all the time. And I want to make sure our listeners know that I want to show them kind of in a real world scenario. Yeah. When we say this is what it can look like. So you kind of went back all the way going all the way back to the beginning. You talked about first the strategies you had, as far as you had the paper, and you had what you can control, what you can't control. And you've got to face that, like that horrible, awful thing, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. You've got to be able to face it, but you've got to be able to put it off to the side a little bit too.
Right.
Could you break down that mindset a little bit for us here?
Yeah. So So when you're dealt with that hand, when you're dealt with that part of your reality, and in this case, what I can use is my cancer diagnosis. That is okay. So, and I love visualization. So I have the piece of paper. It says you have cancer. Your life is now changed by this and by this only. Simply, it's a couple of sentences. You have cancer. It may relapse. Good luck. Signed, reality. So you have to take that step by step, because what one can do, and it could be, it's natural to do this. I don't want to subtract the weight of those two sentences, because they weigh very heavy. But what I want to make sure is that you don't make what can be broken down or what can be reduced down to two sentences and allowing that paper to be a dissertation. You don't, because a dissertation is just your overthinking of the reality and your overanalyzation of the reality and being too focused upon the reality and what you can't control. You can't be focused that much on what you can't control. Allow it to be reduced down to a few sentences so that it's understandable, so that you can
make it simple.
Make it, yeah. Make it simple. That way, when you look at the sheet, again, like I said, you can look at it, but you don't want to be staring at it all day. Well, one way to help not to stare at it all day is to make it a couple of sentences. Yeah. Because then it's nice and quick. Yeah. Read like a quote. We love quotes. Do you know what people aren't too big of fans of? Quotes that are 17 paragraphs long. We love a sentence or two, right?
Soliloquies.
Right. Yeah, precisely. Precisely. How many cantos?
I think there's a Taylor Swift line. I don't mean to bring her onto the podcast because I know you have fondness for her, but we may or may not have a guest coming on soon who we're very excited to bring for you guys. We're honored to have her on, but she's quite a big Taylor Swift fan. So just giving you a little preparation for that. Yeah. Something about performing soliloquies they'll never read. Regardless, back to your point. My soliloquy's done. You can get back to it.
Oh my. So it is. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. So it's two sentences. It's visible. I really do. I implore you to. I promote the manner and promote the habit of keeping that as a daily reminder. You have to be close with reality. You have to be close to. It's how can you say that? I have very little understanding, but the understanding that I do have of the yin and yang is that you have to be willing to dance with both sides. You have to be willing to face, dance with, understand, sometimes agree. That's a little out there, but you have to be willing to stay close and intimate with that reality. You can't, again, as I said before, you cannot crumple that paper up and just throw it off the desk. That is unuseful.
Because that paper could be your future, even if you don't want it to be.
Precisely. Because I'm not.
It could be a challenge.
That paper could be there forever.
Yeah. It could be a lifelong challenge.
Precisely, and it could be a challenge that some realities as such. And that's. Ooh. This particular example is a reality that I have to face that can ultimately take my life. For others, they don't get a whole lot of time to even think about it. For some, we get quite a bit of time to think about it and to and are hopefully given the opportunity to move on from it. But that doesn't, you can energy cannot be created nor destroyed. That piece of paper, I can crumple it up, I can throw it away, I can burn the piece of paper, but the reality that was formed, I cannot destroy for however much time I have left on this big, beautiful planet. And so just face it. Yeah. Just face it. Get comfortable with it. No. Don't get comfortable with it.
No, I think you're onto something when you say comfortable there, actually, because it's what you brought up earlier when you said you talked about embracing suffering, mm-hmm. and that's a mindset. That's a practice that is actually kind of a tale. That's a practice that's been prevalent in human society for a long time across different groups, but it's kind of juxtapositional. Mm-hmm. You don't think about embracing suffering, but really in order to suffer well, like running a marathon or battling cancer, there's a certain part of you that has to be able to accept it. And if you can get to a level where you can get, like you said, comfortable with it, you get more comfortable with the idea. That doesn't mean you have to be happy sitting on a floater going down the lazy river,
right?
Thoughts about cancer, but you're more comfortable with it than you can get yourself more comfortable with it than the idea of crumpling the paper up and throwing away and not being able to face it.
That's the voice of the algorithm of my recent algorithm for quite some time on social media of telling me that the word comfortable is not a comfortable word.
I see what you're saying.
So yes, I agree. I like accepting. I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
To be accepting of that reality, and yeah, that's how you deal with that side of it, of what you can't control. Be close to it, be accepting of it, know it's there, but that's not the piece of paper mm-hmm. on the pile of papers of realities that's not directly in front of you. Be organized, and set what you can control in front of you.
Yes. And that's what I loved what you talked about, because there's two papers. Like, you could have cancer or you could not have cancer. And there could be a drastically different set of life circumstances based on each of those.
Correct.
But I liked how you talked about making them simple, because that visualization piece you talked about, there's a part of me that was kind of had a light bulb moment there. You're like, wow, make it simple. You have cancer. To me, that really takes the power out of it, because cancer feels like this big, giant, huge thing. And it certainly, the process of it, the lifelong challenges that come with it certainly can be, but our brains can't comprehend and can't fathom the immensity of everything that could entail with that. Mm-hmm. So when you break it down to a simple phrase of just like, you have cancer, that something about the simplicity of that, to me, really takes a lot of the immensity and the power out of it.
There's still a gravitas to it, but I like this here.
It's easier to comprehend.
Because like I said, it has weight to it, but you can't tell me that the weight of 2 sentences is greater than the weight of, again, 6 paragraphs, 4 pages. It's just like, bam, it's right there. You can read through it a couple of times. I can read through it 5 times, just like that, in 30 seconds. Just like, okay.
And I think not only that, but it gives you a little something else to focus on. So if you look at the two realities potentially in front of you, one of them being you have cancer, the other one you don't have cancer. Each of them could have a huge plethora of different circumstances, different outcomes, different all kinds of things that are buried within that. If you think about, if you're allowing yourself to think about all of the events, all of the things that could go into that, and you're trying to work through and comprehend and think about all the outcomes, all of the, like, oh no, but what if this, but what if this, but what if this, that could be buried in that, versus all you're focusing on is just a sentence, a line, you have cancer. It keeps you from focusing on all of those different potential outcomes that could come after that as a result. And it just keeps you on the thing that another piece you talked about is what's right in front of you right now.
Well, what's right in front of you is what helps you keep curbed.
Yes.
Because I wanted to make the distinction of, it's not just the simplicity of the reality statement that allows you to go, okay, I'm not going to overthink this. I'm not going to plan out 6,000 different, possible outcomes and daily life experiences that I'm about to partake. I see the simplicity of the reality. I therefore curb the overanalyzation and overindulgence of outcomes by what is in front of me.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make that it's not just that, it's there's multiple, there's a natural deviation and a natural escape of the rabbit from the mind to go chasing after the carrots once you see that sentence, and that's fine. That's a natural reaction, but it's how you control. Are you in control of your reactions? Because that's based on emotions. It's an emotion of honestly it's an insecurity coming out to where you're like, okay, I may not be in control. No, you are. Calm down. Breathe. Alrighty. What's in front of me? Boom.
Yeah. And I like that because it's going back to that special forces mantra of like, keep your world small is what they say, but it's basically like focusing on what's right in front of you. So when they're running, 100 miles on no sleep, whatever the situation may be, they're not focused on the next 50 miles they got to run. They're focused on the next 5 steps, and the next 5 steps, and the next 5 steps. And I think anything that has this immensity to it, that's kind of what you have to do. You have to break your world down. You have to make your world small. You have to break this monumental task down to what's right in front of me, and you keep it simple. I have cancer. That could be a reality. And from there, you can take 5 steps, 5 steps, 5 steps. Okay, what could that mean? What could that look like? Let me just go down that path. And you, like you say, you control how you go down the path rather than letting your mind run rampant.
Yeah, because
as we all know, our minds are beautiful, horrible things sometimes. So, we won't go into that too much. But the next piece that I really liked that you talked about, and I liked it actually mostly because not based on whether I agree or disagree with it, more in the fact that you said that there are people who would disagree with it. And that was the piece of having that little bit of time to, as you called it, veg out every night.
Yeah, that may not be the best way to put it, but it's...
But I get what you're saying.
It's an hour for Austin.
Yeah.
So make it an hour for Matt, an hour for Paul, an hour for whatever your name is.
Yeah. Taking time to do something that may be on its surface totally unproductive. Like I say, on the surface, it may seem totally unproductive on the surface. Like, because if you're thinking about like hard fixed actions.
David
of what
Goggins
you could
playing
do.
over and over again in your head.
You could be doing push-ups. You know, so on the surface could be deemed as unproductive, or even just like not in line with everything else you're doing that day. No, if you're taking time to do that, there's people out there who would say, oh no, you can't be doing that. That's a waste of time. That's, you know, you should be editing more videos. You should be putting out more content, whatever they may say. Mm-hmm. But, and I really like Alex Hormozy's perspective on this, because he talks about it. When you take that time, you've got to have time to recharge the batteries. And like you said, time for Austin. Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. You know that you're a person who loves comedy and just the relief of laughing.
Yep.
And that when you have those moments, there's something that happens within your body that when you come out of it, you feel refreshed, recharged, and you can just breathe again.
Well, it's what helped me with dealing with addiction.
Yeah. And that's huge. That the importance of that, and that's why I emphasize the on the surface, because the importance of that cannot be understated. Because for me, that is getting under a heavy squat bar that could kill me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't know why my brain's a little messed up, but that's what it is. Because, as you guys know, we welcomed my beautiful, wonderful, amazing daughter into this world a few weeks ago. And sorry, I'm going to try to keep it short because I could go on forever about her. But she's a lot of work. She's a lot of investment. Mm-hmm. And it's not always easy. In fact, there's a lot of times where it can be hard. However, it is incredibly rewarding, incredibly motivating, and just one of the coolest things I've ever done. But I missed a few weeks of squats with the boys, you know, under heavy weight.
Yep.
In all of that, because, you know, there was a time where I couldn't be away for 2 hours at a time, you know, and that's just is what it is. It's okay. It's a sacrifice I wanted to make for her, and that's great. But the other week I did go, and I was actually really kind of back and forth in that decision of like, do I want to go? Do I not want to go? And Lauren had made it abundantly clear that it was okay if I went. She had made it abundantly clear for a couple weeks at that point that it was okay if I went. But I was like, no, I can't leave
the
you
house,
guys. Yeah. I can't imagine me being a hard person to be around, but you know, whatever. But no, she had made it clear that she was okay if I went. Like, she would be fine. The baby would be fine. You know, everything would be fine. And I was back and forth. I was like, I don't know. Should I go? Should I not go? Is this something I'm just doing for me? I should be able to sacrifice this so that I can be there to help take care of them. Ultimately, I went because, you know, it is something I enjoy. It's something that it is something that's productive for my body, but I could get a workout in at home. Mm-hmm. I could swing kettlebell. I could go run. But for me, lifting heavy is not about the physical side of it. Yes, fortunately, there are physical benefits from it, but that's not necessarily why I do it. For me, I've never found a mental relief that is actually positive for me, like being under heavy weight. Mm-hmm. And so I went and I did the squat session, and it was, after it, I felt like 1,000,000 pounds had been lifted off my shoulders. Like, absolutely. I think I even sent a chat to the group, just like a sappy text to all the guys. I'm like, oh man, I can't tell you how much I love you guys. Like, I need this so much. Like, you know, all the stuff. But it's true. Like, taking that couple hours after all of that time of intensity and hard work and, you know, figuring out life with our daughter, taking that couple hours to just like, or scream as we do.
We did, yeah, definitely.
That
a lot of noise
totally reset me for not just that day, but honestly that whole week. And it really re-emphasized to me how important those heavy squat Saturdays are for me. And I would liken it to your, you know, time spent watching comedy. It's just like
lifting helped you tremendously.
Yes.
Dealing with addiction.
Yes, 100%. It was the thing that got me out of it.
And if you're listening, Jimmy Carr, yeah.
We'll tag him in it.
Yeah, and try. I missed him on the American tour.
Oh yeah.
He just did. Oh, so unfortunate. But they were DVDs. They weren't specials. They were DVDs that he put onto YouTube. And I mean, there are from 2004 to 2011 or 12, almost every year he released a new DVD, new content. Like literally all new content for each year. That's insane.
That's wild.
And almost every single one of those years, new jokes, every single one. Mind numbing. And so that's why like they're so like, and they're all like an hour and a half. So it's just this. Oh, it's so much time of just one-liners that are just coming at you left and right, like a bunch of punches from the wildest of boxers. But he's a comedic boxer, and so they're filled with sarcasm and part nihilism, but part relief from the anxiety of world and its realities. It's just such a good time. It's such a brilliant time, and I'm not the science educated one here, so I don't know what it's a release of. But as you said with the weight, it's a release of pressure off the shoulders, and it also it's an hour for me not to overthink anything. Like that is another hour where I am.
You're not focused on either of those pieces of paper.
I kind of
detaching. You're actually detaching.
Protecting myself from. From going down a very existentialist rabbit hole.
Yes, that is time where you are literally detaching from the situation. You're not thinking about what could be, what's going to be. You're just You're literally focused on what's right in front of you, enjoying the moment, and that is immensely important. We all have to develop some practice of learning how to be 100% in the moment. Of whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is you're doing, of whatever it is you're doing right now. I think we all have to have a practice of that, because that's the only break you get, like literal break you get from this thinking of the future, considering these realities, considering planning, working, whatever you're doing, because everything else we're doing, whether it's generating content, whether it's recording podcasts, whether it's anything else we're doing, it's all focused on, the future, So you have to have this practice of immersing yourself right now, 100% in the moment, in whatever it is. And when you do that, there's all sorts of biochemical stuff that goes through your brains, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is the relief and the recharge you get from that. Because I would imagine when you come out of that hour, you feel a million times, you have a much greater amount of energy than you did beforehand, correct?
Yeah.
Yet you haven't done anything to necessarily give yourself more, like you didn't sleep, you didn't eat, there's nothing that like gave you more energy. Like actually your brain chemistry just changed. And I am a big fan of anything you can do to manipulate your brain chemistry a little bit to put you in those positions of the highest productivity possible. Because an hour of high productivity mindset is worth 10 hours of low productivity mindset. So taking that hour to just totally recharge those batteries and come back to the world with a fresh perspective or a new mindset, or ready to deal with these harsh realities that could be yours here in a few days, that is priceless.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can put on that. And that actually alludes to something we were going to talk tonight about, but it's how to different ways to utilize your time more effectively so that you get the most out of it. Basically how you're managing your attention. We're not going to dive into all that, but I really liked that you brought that up, because everybody has things they enjoy. Everybody has things that are maybe not the most directly beneficial to their active goals and priorities and even their purpose right now. But those things can be crucially, vitally important to those goals and purpose and objectives, in that they put you in a mindset that is ready to be 10x more productive than you would have been otherwise. And that's something we could spend a whole episode on. We probably will at some point here, because I really like that thought process.
Yeah, we can dive more in depth into what,
Yeah.
and maybe give some examples of
Yeah.
how we divvy up the day as well.
Yeah. But don't be afraid, guys, to dive into some of that stuff. Let yourself find enjoyment, happiness, and just be totally immersed in something that means, that may seem on the surface totally unproductive. For me, actually, a better example, I think, would be like movies. I love movies, specifically like Rocky movies, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Austin knows this. Yeah. So
5 a.m.
Yep.
Working on an edit.
Yep.
And you hear in the distance, Rocky, Adrian.
Oh, gets me every time, man.
You're like, yep. Matt's watching Rocky again.
Oh, there's never been a greater love. But anyway, sorry. Moving on. That's something we wanted to touch on for you guys, because don't be afraid to allow yourself to have those moments. I think the piece to it that is crucial is, again, are you choosing that as a controlled thing, which you are, an hour in every night or whatever it was you said?
Yep.
Or is it something that is completely consuming you? Because it could be that. It could be you come home from work and you spend your entire evening till you go to sleep watching those videos.
That's what the previous Austin was like.
Yeah.
I would get back from work. I would indulge in nothing nasty, but I would indulge in some activities, and it was clock out of work, clock into to a very sedentary life.
Yeah. And that's a point where you would be only consuming. You're not thinking about what you can do going forward. You're not putting yourself in a high productivity mindset.
Nope.
It's merely just you escaping for the sake of escaping. It's not escaping so that you could come back and confront your reality with a even greater mindset. It's just escaping.
Yeah.
And we've all been in spots where we've done that. And even now, day to day, some days you may have to have a day where you do that, again, to recharge, to come back to your defined purpose. But the point is, the difference is that you do come back. You do return.
Precisely.
So that you can produce.
Vacations are certainly, in my opinion, necessary, but like, to go from where I was, it was 340 days of the year I was on vacation. Mm-hmm. That kind of situation, and not exactly, but you understand what I mean. Like it almost every day was just a vacation. Okay. Nothing going on. To now, where it's every now and then I'll go out and spend time with the boys, but even the boys, again, alluding to what I said is that the friends that I have now are also making moves in life, and so even spending time with them can ultimately sometimes be super productive. Yeah, but also it's just you have to give yourself, you have to allow yourself and give yourself permission to work hard and play hard, and just be thankful. Yeah, just be thankful.
Yeah. And that's what I loved about that piece you brought up, is that's not something we often touch on or talk about. And you hear a lot of big name personalities out there these days that are just talking about, grinding and going 100% all the time. And it's like, if you can do that and you find fulfillment in that, that's great. That's amazing.
Good for you.
Keep going, keep pushing down. Yeah. But I believe that we all need times to step back, to recharge, to breathe, to whatever it is, so that you can come back with a 10x productivity mindset. And as I said earlier, an hour of that is worth 10 hours of low productivity mindset. Mm-hmm. So find those things in your life, those activities, those triggers, whatever they may be, that will help put you in a state of readiness and the highest productivity value possible, so that when you return to whatever it is your purpose is or your passion that you're chasing in life, you are in the most refreshed, ready to go state possible for that. I could not be recording this podcast right now at the level we are if I hadn't squatted yesterday, if I hadn't run today, if I hadn't spent an hour doing nothing but holding my daughter on my chest. Those are the things that put me in the state I need to be so that we can have the best discussion possible. Mm-hmm. So find those things in your life, chase them, and give intention toward them.
Oh, yeah.
When you partake in them.
Full steam ahead.
Yeah. So the last thing I really wanted to touch on that you talked about in all of this, and it was something you kind of mentioned towards the beginning. We've already talked about it a little bit. It's this idea of reality as a whole, and how we create purpose and how we come back to that and how we live in that moment. Because the third big thing I remember you talking about in that process of how you've faced this impossible, faced this mindset, gone through this time period where you're waiting to figure out what your future holds. It's knowing that no matter what you find out, when that oncologist walks through the doors on Thursday, knowing no matter what that situation holds, Austin doesn't change. Because you have put in the work to know who you are, what you're chasing in life, what you're pursuing, and you've found a way to do that regardless of circumstance around you. And this is something that I think it's a new thought I've been coming to, but I think it's maybe the most crucial of all of these that we can chase. Are you a victim of your circumstances, or are you a hero of your story? And I say it in that way because it's two different mindsets that you can have. Because when that oncologist walks through the door on Thursday, you're not waiting for her to tell you, to give you the whole new meaning and purpose for your life. You're waiting for her to tell you which path you may potentially have to take.
Precisely.
And if we can get ourselves to a point, again, this is not an easy, quick process.
No.
But that's the whole purpose of everything we're doing here at Impossible Performance. Every episode of this podcast is in some way dedicated towards this. Every piece of media we put out is in some way dedicated towards this. Our whole mission and vision for everything we do is dedicated toward this. If you can create a purpose for your life that you can pursue with passion, no matter what circumstance around you arises, you will find victory in that situation. You will win. You will survive. And that's why we said on an earlier episode with one of our guests, Leanne Modisett, that every person who battles cancer can survive cancer. Not in whether their body is able to overcome the disease or not, but in whether their mind is able to go on continuing to fight every single day and bring as much positive impact to those around them and the world as a whole in spite of it. And that's the choice all cancer patients have, and that's the choice that every human has. Yes, it is so hard. Yes, there are days you want to scream and yell and just give everything up, and that's okay. That is human. That is real. Let yourself feel that and experience every part of that emotion. And then get up. Return to the fight. And continue forward toward that purpose that you've defined for yourself. Because there are people you love. There are people who are looking up to you right now who want to see you win. So every day, wake up. Choose that purpose you have defined for your life. And if you don't have one yet, work towards creating one, as we've talked about on past episodes. Because there are people in your life who want to see you win. And when you chase every day with that kind of mindset, you'll change the world. Maybe not the entire physical world as we know it, but you'll change somebody's world as they see it.
You'll change your world.
Yeah, exactly. As we've talked about before, the potential you have to do so is your responsibility. That's how you face the impossible. That's how you be impossible. And if you can do that every single day of your life, you will do the impossible. So, brother, we're wishing for good news on Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But we know no matter what happens, no matter what news you receive, you'll still be Austin. You'll still be on that path you've defined for yourself. You'll still be the hero of that story. And you'll still get some sushi afterwards.
Everything's going to be all right.
Yeah. So, brother, that's all I had for tonight, man. I appreciate you laying all this out here for us.
Yeah.
Because neither of us expected this to go quite in this direction tonight. And sometimes it's a little dangerous to be around me because I can throw you in those positions sometimes. But when you said that and the way you said it, I literally got a chill. And I've learned to listen to those moments. I knew there was something powerful you had to lay out, or that you had to lay out for us tonight. And I definitely wanted to let that come to fruition. And I thought all of us needed to hear that.
And that's what's helped me come to terms with the purpose that I've found that has been bestowed upon me with this brand, with this company, with our motto is I am forever grateful and thankful to first, in all, to share good, positive news, but that I've been able to offer myself as hopefully net force for good.
Yes, sir. So guys, our challenge for you today, as always, if you got something positive out of this episode, please share it with someone you know who you think it could help. Our mission and vision that we read at the beginning and end of every episode is to spread this message as far as possible, because we know how it has impacted, changed, and ultimately served as the guiding light for everything we do in life now. And we know that it has the potential to help others in the exact same capacity. So please share this episode with someone else you know on any platform that you're listening or watching it on. We're on every major platform now. Mm-hmm. And help us spread this message today, because it has the power. It's changed our lives and it has the power to change other lives. Mm-hmm. We appreciate you guys being a part of this message, this mindset, and this movement. We love interacting with every member of Team Impossible. If you guys would like to be a part of what we do or any cause that we fight for, whether it's the marathon or whether it's on social media or whether it's in the gym, reach out to us on www.impossibleperformance.com. Everything we do is on there. You can find us on all the social medias. On Instagram, I am at impossible.performance. And on TikTok, I am at impossible_performance. And you can find our YouTube and X and Threads and all the other smaller platforms through there. Austin, brother, where can people find you?
It's Austin_strength on Instagram and with Impossible Performance.
Yes, sir. So be looking out, guys. We'll be sharing the news on Thursday with you. And until then, at Impossible Performance, we are building a global culture of strength, fostering a spirit of growth in constant pursuit of the impossible. Thank you for listening, and as always, be impossible.
Wonderful. That was a good one.